Hello everyone, I'm Woman International Master Knarik and I'm using the chesswithknarik.com website to record this video. In this video, we're going to try to win this position with the white pieces. It does look like we have an extra bishop, but we definitely have to be careful because if our last pawn, our last white pawn on e3 is exchanged with or captured by the black pieces, then we will not be able to win this because just an extra bishop is insufficient material. We cannot win with an extra bishop. We cannot checkmate at the end of the game, and it's going to be a draw. So, what to play here then? For example, if we just do a random king move here, a move with our king, what can black play? Black can try to trade this last pawn that we have, just like we said, so that the game ends in a draw. And simply by pushing the black pawn. Here, we don't really have much options with white. What can we do here? Okay, if we capture, that's it. Black is definitely going to capture our pawn back. And now only with a bishop we said that's just a draw. So if we go back, but what else to play? If we cannot capture that pawn, then pushing the pawn forward is also not so good because we're even losing it. We're not even trading it, we're losing it. And okay, eventually we're not going to lose this game, but we will have to at one point try to capture this pawn or just maybe give up. The worst case, we can just give up our bishop for it, but definitely we're not going to win this because even if we win that pawn, again, we're being left with we're ending up with just one extra bishop, which is not enough to win. So let's go back. And so here, what if we leave the pawn where it is and we just do a king move, because now we are threatening to capture the black pawn. But here, of course, black is not just going to wait for us to capture their pawn and win the game. But at this point, black is going to trade our pawn. And again, this game is going to end in a draw because of insufficient material. Just with one bishop, we're not going to be able to checkmate. So let's go to the initial position. So we need to have a plan that is going to keep our pawn, right? That should be our plan. In case black tries to push their pawn to trade our pawn, we have to have a way to keep this pawn. And how can we do that? Because we can't capture, we can't leave the pawn where it is. So the plan should be trying to support the pawn when we push it. So when black tries to push their pawn to trade, we should be able to safely escape that capture or that trade by pushing our pawn. And at the same time, yeah, it should be safely pushed. So then we need to have a move that defends our pawn when our pawn moves to the e5 square. So let's say black tried to push their pawn and we pushed our pawn. So we should make sure that this push is safe and that the black king cannot capture our pawn on e4. So let's see. Let's go back to the initial position. How can we do that? Can I try with my king to find a way to support the pawn when it pushes forward? I can't. Our king is just too far. I cannot get close enough. If I could move, for example, to the f3 square, then definitely that would have helped. If black pushes, we could have pushed our pawn as well, and it's supported. We're not losing our pawn and definitely winning that game. So let's see. But we have another advantage in this position. We have our bishop that can do the job. And luckily, that's a bishop that moves on light squares. That's a light square bishop. And the square that we want to support, it's a light square. So it's the square on e4. Our bishop can support it then, can defend that square. So let's see here. If we try to play, let's say, the bishop to d3, we are supporting that square. We are supporting the the e4 square with our bishop. And here, let's see, if black tries to do their same plan again, trying to trade our pawns, we can simply refuse. We can simply just not capture, decline the capture, the trade, and push our pawn, and our bishop will be supporting our pawn, and we did not lose this pawn. Our hope to win this game is on this pawn. So what should black play here then? How should we continue? we have an extra bishop, and definitely in time we will be able to win this pawn that black has. Now, what are the different options here for black? Let's say if black tries to attack our bishop to make the bishop move away and win the pawn, of course we don't have to leave our pawn. We can just do any move. Just move the bishop away and keep defending the pawn. Let's say it means that any move like bishop to c2 or bishop to b1 is going to be good. Defending the bishop with the king will be good. Even leaving the bishop is going to be good. If we just play a move like king f2 and black captures our bishop, now the black king has moved out of the square of our passed pawn, because the square of the passed pawn, here it is, that's it. And we said that the square of a passed pawn is when we when we draw the diagonal in the direction of the promotion square, and then we complete a square. And if the black king, if our opponent king is outside of that square, then that king is not going to be able to catch up with our pawn when we try to promote. If we push this pawn, now our square became here. This is our pawn square, and the black king definitely cannot catch up to enter that square and try to stop us or capture our pawn. We're definitely promoting. On the other hand, this black pawn will not be able to do the same, because our king is simply blocking its way, and that pawn is not promoting. So let's go back. So here, all we had to do was support the e4 square by playing bishop to d3. We were able to do that. And let's see what else can black try. Here, when we push our pawn, what if black tries to keep the pawn, defend the pawn? Now, anyways, with a king, what to play? Maybe black can play such a move. And of course, our pawn and bishop will not be able to win the game alone. In an endgame, the most important role will be given to our king. In most of the end games, in the majority of the end games, in if not all, our king will have the most important role of different things. For example, supporting our pawn to promote, defending our pawns, attacking the opponent's pawn. So definitely we should be using our king in this end game as well. And here, what will black play? Let's say black is trying to stay close to their pawn so that when we attack it, they can be able to defend it. But until when black will be able to keep defending that pawn? If we just do a waiting move here, we just wait. What will black play? Let's say I just wait, not changing much in the position. Do a waiting move with my bishop. Other than there's definitely other good moves here as well, but if we just waited, black now will have to leave the pawn on f4, because there is no move that keeps defending the f4 pawn with a king. So whatever king move is played, we can just capture the pawn, and definitely with an extra pawn and an extra bishop, we're going to win this game. And how can we win this game? So not to make things complicated, we can just treat this as just let's say like we're playing a pawn and a king endgame. We don't touch the bishop. Let's say, and usually a pawn and a king against the king, this position without the bishop, black could draw this position, and it's like this here. Because if black takes the opposition, this would be a draw. We would not be able to promote. But the thing is that we have this extra bishop. We will just use it once, maybe just for us to help our pawn to promote. For example, we can just put our bishop here on g6. Now the black king cannot stay and stop our pawn from promoting, but it's going to be moving away. And all we need to do is just be careful a bit that whenever we are using our bishop and pawn and king, and our opponent only has one king, that the game does not end in a stalemate, because we don't want all this effort, to go in vain and just end the game in a stalemate and split the points. We want to get all the points. We want to win the game, and here we are, we promote and we definitely win. So we don't need to complicate things. After winning the pawn, we don't really need to use the bishop. We can just use our pawn and king, and only when we need at the end of the when our pawn is going to promote at the end, we can use the bishop if we want. If we go just a few moves before, let's see here, even we could have here pushed the pawn and then just check, use our bishop for a checkmate maybe, or use our bishop for a check to make the king move away, depending on the position we have. But we don't really always have to use the bishop with the pawn. We can just use it at the end. Okay, so let's see, we go back. And so here, there is also another move that could work. If we consider that pushing this pawn should be our aim, and supporting that pawn when it's on e4 should be our aim, just like bishop to d3 worked, there should be another move that is working here as well, and that is moving our bishop to b7. That would do the job as well. And anytime that black pushes their pawn, we will be able to support our pawn on e4, and the same thing is going to happen. We will be able to use our king, activate our king, win the black pawn, and with an extra bishop and an extra pawn, we are going to win this game as well.